Hi, everyone. This is Dawn Richard, also known as The Awakening with Dawn, and this is the Wake Up to Real Love podcast, where we share stories of struggles and triumphs in love, sex, and relationships, along with expert advice to create more conscious connections. I am super honored today to have my guest, Kimberly Penharlow. Welcome, Kimberly.
Thank you, Dawn. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited to meet you. My podcast friend, Michael Banks, introduced us. And because you did an interview with him, and it's a really beautiful, it was a beautiful podcast, but in a little bit different direction because you were talking about leadership, because you are a leadership coach. You have expertise in retreat design and facilitation, organizational and leadership expertise. You've been in New York City for 18 years, and you're a native Vermonter.
Yeah.
Lots of syrup.
Yes, lots of syrup. Always have syrup, cheddar cheese, and milk in my fridge, and butter. That's the Vermonter in me. Always, yes.
And you're a two-time New York City marathoner, which is what I wanted to ask you about first, because I saw that was your goal, to run a 3:30 marathon, and you did it in November. Congratulations. Tell me about it.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, I'm a late bloomer, and it's an athlete, but I'm an athlete, and I think it's kind of part of like my story. It's
because
so
you never considered yourself one.
Never. Yeah. I mean, I grew up in Vermont, but I had juvenile rheumatoid arthritis when I was a kid. So injury prevention and like you couldn't do high impact things. So I did cross country skiing. So this whole, addition of running into my life, I say that I dated running in my 30s, and then I married running when I got divorced. and I ran my second marathon and had this crazy dream of the 3:30, and it was a 24-minute PR. So if you're not a runner, it means that you improved your performance. PR means personal best, personal record. So I ran 24 minutes faster this year than I did my first marathon, and it was amazing. Yeah,
That's incredible. How did you do that?
So I committed to the goal, and I told everyone, and I was like really vocal about it and courageous about it on everything, social media, everywhere. And then I just trained like a banshee. Like a banshee. And was part of the Nike Project Moonshot program here in New York City. And that training was absolutely incredible. And I'm part of a Brooklyn track club. And so I put myself in a situation to be around better runners, better coaches, who helped me,
who pushed you,
and you know, marathoning really actually is, you need that support, but it is 100% like what you put into it. So I was holding on to my goal, and I loved it. I love the community. I love how I feel when I run, and I love crazy dreams and goals. And I was like, I'm just going to shoot for it. Like, why wouldn't I have a crazy dream? If I'm going to do something again, why wouldn't I try to improve it radically? That's my whole thing. That's just my approach, you know? And other people who run a marathon want to run it in a very different way, right? Everybody's marathon run deserves respect and admiration because it's a journey. It's just how you choose to do it. And I chose to do it pretty radically. And it was amazing. And I still loved it. It wasn't like, it's a huge block party for yourself with 50,000 other people that you don't know running by, and you're like, all right. So it was amazing. I felt strong, and it was great.
Well, so when you, when you're training, like, do you feel like a lot of it is just your mindset? Is it a lot of mental, is it, because my ex ran marathons and did triathlons, and he said that it was 90% mental. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. I think the training period, it's a balance between the physical commitment to like just getting your body into physical fitness and your cardiovascular resources, and the mental commitment to do it. But I think on race day, it is 100% for me. It's 80% mental, and the belief in the fact that I've put the training time in to build my body, that's the 20%. Like, I just have to trust in what I've built up physically the
Uh-huh.
second I get to the start line, and realize 80% of it is, you can do this, right? Like I had on my hand, I wrote my PR time. I wrote I wrote sayings on my arm. It was like, you're strong enough. Yeah. I mean,
go ahead. Tell me all the things that you wrote.
I wrote like, you're powerful, you're strong enough, you're courageous. So that in those moments, I mean, granted, they kind of washed off because you're sweating, but I had my mantras, right? I had the time I wanted. I had 3:30, and I had these 3 things that I just continued to repeat to myself. So if I started to be like, oh shit, I would just look down, right? Like, or look over, and it's like, okay. I also wrote breathe, because you can I needed to just always remember to slow down and to breathe, as I would like change my pace to get faster the closer I got to the end. And so it is definitely 80% mental that day. And the part of that mental part is just complete what I call radical confidence in what I've already put into this to get me to the finish line. So yeah, it was pretty spectacular.
I like
spectacular.
I totally bow down to you, because I'm a dancer, and I've tried running a few times in my life, and my knees just didn't like it.
Yeah.
And I said I would never run a marathon. You know, maybe I'd walk one, because I just did a pilgrimage, and I walked 175 miles in 2020 or 12 days.
Yeah.
But running, like, I just really honor that experience for you. Yeah. So let me ask you, because of all of this stuff, like, have you always pushed yourself, and have you always believed in yourself?
I think there are things you're not aware. For me, there are things I'm not aware of that now, because I hold on to moments of conversations with different people in my life who may or may not be here anymore. I would say yes. One of the things that I think about is my grandmother, my mom's mom.
Grandma Ruth.
Grandma Ruth. She always said to me, because I did some odd things. If I look back at my history of what I've done so far and the choices I've made, definitely made a lot of people scratch their heads and like, what are you doing? But my grandmother Ruth always said to me, she's like, no matter what, Kimberly, I know you will always land on your feet. Yeah. So,
how old were you when she started telling you that?
I have no freaking idea. I actually have no idea, but
it's like, it's implanted.
But it doesn't. Yeah, it's like implanted in my head, and she, I graduated college in '94 and bought a car, packed up everything that I thought was important at that point in my life, put it into this Ford hatchback Escort, and went to Nashville, Tennessee to start a job and I didn't know a person. I didn't know anybody I was working with. I didn't know anybody in the South, in Nashville, and didn't have a place to live. But I was like, I'm just going to do this because I'll figure it out, right? I quit a job and I worked for the Olympic Torch Relay in 1996. So quit a full-time job, traveled for 6 months across the country with the Olympic Torch, ran with the torch. Didn't know what I was going to do at the end, but I was like, it'll work out. I'll figure it out. So, I guess there's always been a part of me that just has that. And it just probably shows up in different ways, right? Whether it's like radical changes or just how I use my time or little idiosyncrasies I have. But yeah, absolutely.
Do you think that that's an inner quality that you have, or it's something that you develop?
I think it's a little bit of both, because I feel as I probably get like in different stages of my life, I develop it in a different way, or it shows up in a different way, right? I think, would I move somewhere like thousands of miles away from where my mom is right now? No. But would I 10 years ago? Yeah, So I feel like, for me, the development part is not forgetting to do that and not forgetting to let that show up, because that's such a part of who I am. And that's part of what's always kind of on my mind. Yeah.
And is that, do you think that that's what propelled you to become a leadership coach? Like how are those intertwined?
I think for me, they're intertwined. Leadership coach, that term, that job never existed when I started working, right? Like the way that careers have evolved, the opportunities for women in the workplace, like how work is being done is so different than my first job, which is like you went to the office, you worked for 8 hours, you left the computer there, you had no cell phone, you used a dot matrix printer there was no such thing as a leadership coach. It was like, if you were leading a team, you just figured it out. Yeah. It was like management or like time. And mostly it was time management. It wasn't like, how are you supporting your people?
How are you developing your people? How are you inspiring your people and lifting them up to their great potential?
Right. Yeah. So I think there's moments in my career where I was, in potentially over my head, but I made it work. Right. And the leadership coaching piece has been a result of all the different jobs I've had, whether they've been specifically in HR or, I directed the Trick or Treat for UNICEF campaign for 6 years at UNICEF in New York. I wasn't in a leadership coaching role, but I was leading a team of 15 at one point. And so all of it really flows into why I moved into this field, right? And started to do this work full time for myself, because I think it's how we're going to change the world, honestly. Like we need to, behind leadership coaching is like, how do you show up for people? How do you treat people? How do you respect people? How do you support them, whether they want to be there, whether they're making a hard decision to leave? Like that's all leadership, right? And it's getting shit done, but it's, to me, a lot of my coaching with women and with men who are leading teams, regardless of where they are in their career, on their way out, like, hey, this is my last stop, Kimberly, or I just got promoted to a VP level, is about how are they being? Because it's not about their technical skill at that point. People know that you can do whatever the technical part of your job is, whether you're in, fashion or nonprofit, but it's how are you being with your staff and with your team and with the whole organization, if you're leading the whole organization, and how are you creating that culture where people want to be there and they feel respected and they want to take those risks because they know that it's welcome. So, yeah.
Do you, I saw that you work with She Says. That's one of the organizations that you work with.
Yeah. So,
tell me about that, because that, to me, like this women's empowerment is so important, because we have been so behind the curve. And now, with women like you helping lead the way for other women to say, I can do this too.
Yeah. Thank you. So She Says is actually, it's a fascinating model. So it's a all volunteer based organization. It's global in its reach. And the two women who started it were in the creative executives, like wildly successful in the creative industry, and saw a need to support women throughout their career in creative industry, right? And they
like fashion or dance or
exactly, opera singers, marketing people, BBDO, like you name it. So creative industry is so broad and liberal in its definition or lack of definition. And so I'm on the board for the New York chapter of She Says, and our whole mission is to work and to provide opportunities for women to gather. Specifically, we plan events, experiences, usually monthly, that align with what we're hearing from women in the industry in the region, right? So it's like, okay, so what are on people's minds in New York City who are in the creative industry? And that's one of the avenues in which I'm supporting women here, which I love, right? And I also get to meet other women on the board who are at different points in their career or face leadership challenges or who just give a hoot in a different way, right? So it's a really exciting organization to be part of, and I'm really proud to be on the board. And, you know, it's the website. Every time I go to the website, I think, holy, we're doing like this group of women globally volunteering to organize these experiences to support each other is so rich. Everything from, you know, career advice. So members can tap into a protected part of the website and get career advice from individuals like myself, an executive who's been a CMO for 15 years, 20 years in Ogilvy, to a new individual who's just started their career. I mean, it's really fascinating, the support network and how fast it's grown as well. And the fact that there's no boundaries to what we can offer, right? So because the richness of the women on the board really fuels the discussion and the content based on what the members are saying. So yeah, it's pretty incredible. And somebody in New York could relocate to LA and say, go to a She Says event and know that there's a support network, right?
Right. And I was just thinking, you know, this is what women, I think in particular, are really good at, is collaborating.
Yeah.
And supporting each other. You know, I think this has been the issue with, you know, the more masculine energy is more like power over, authority over, you know, and women want in general, women, the feminine energy is more about collaborating and community and support and helping each other. And I think it's a really beautiful thing that you create this powerful experience through through supporting each other.
Yeah. And I think we also, yes, I completely agree with you. On the other side of that I spent a lot of time coaching women, she, her on is, where do you stop collaborating? Where do you stop that, because it's actually prohibitive from you advancing, from you being heard, from you having the executive presence that you want, from having leadership legacy that you want. So as much as it's like an absolute value and it should be cherished and nourished and created and supported, there is sometimes moments in anybody's career, especially people with feminine energy, that it doesn't work, right? And you do get looked over, or you do get passed by, or you do get ignored, or your idea does get picked up by somebody sitting next to you, and your intuition around collaboration and maybe conflict avoidance doesn't allow you to be the one who's leading that idea because somebody else captured it. So there are those conversations in which there are moments when it's not the right thing. It's not the right tactic, right?
Yeah, no. So how do you teach people, because this is both men and women, to fully step into their own power?
Totally. And for everybody, it's like, what is your power? Like, what do you want it to? Because it might be something for this year, this moment in your career. And then in a year from now, you have a different task. You have different priorities when you look at your life as a whole. Work might be 80% right now, but next year it could be 20% for who knows what reason. So it's going to evolve and change based on, if you look at your whole circle of all the elements that are important to you and where you spend your time, sometimes work isn't where you want to be doing all the major changes, right? Because maybe other things are going on. So it's like, that's okay, but I want to create a space where people can like identify that. Like, right now, my career is number one, Kimberly. Here's the 3 reasons why. My career is not. I just want to sustain this team and reach this goal, and here's the other stuff that's going on. Right. Or here's the one skill I really want to develop this year. And I know that I can do it because my team's really running well and everyone's interacting and we have a great flow. We have a great culture. But so yeah, there's the flip side of that, right? For everybody who's leading or for everybody who shows up, it's like, at what point do the things that you naturally do actually need to be counteracted because maybe it's not always the most effective or giving you the results or fueling you or providing you the energy that you want or the satisfaction that you want in the big picture.
And do you feel like people only fully step into their power when they fully believe in themselves? Or is it an act as if?
Yeah, there's all this research on the imposter syndrome. I was just talking to the woman this morning about it, and it's true, it happens, but I think it happens across the board where, you never really fully believe, like, should I really be in this meeting? Like, do I really have the confidence? Like, how come am I really supposed to be leading all these people? Like, holy moly.
Boy, I'm really fooling everybody.
Yeah, totally. Like, okay, smoke and mirrors here, right? So, I don't know if there are times, I'm running my own business now. Do I have moments where imposter syndrome creeps up and I'm like, what the heck am I doing? Because I'm doing all this and what? But it's, for me, it's how much time do I let that take up in me and in my life and in my space of like, as opposed to, I'm running my own business and I'm making some serious stuff up because there is no roadmap. And this year I'm going to just start with 2 big goals for Q1 and Q2. And that's how I'm going to like reframe, like, so maybe that'll help me step fully into my power. But, maybe in a week I'll be like, that strategy is not working because I've got this, hold on, I can show you. I have this big long list of things. Like, what am I doing here? This is partially imposter syndrome, writing down all this stuff, right? So I think we step into our power at different times for different reasons, right? Whether it's, I have been working on this project for a whole year and I know I'm the expert on it and I am ready to go. Probably the imposter syndrome and the saboteur is less likely to appear because of an individual's confidence and competence at that moment. And then they might walk into another room where a huge global project or, I don't know, somebody's deciding to leave on their team that they never expected would ever leave. And they're like, oh my gosh, how do I deal with that, right? Yeah. Or something in our personal life takes us by surprise and we're like, I need time to regroup, right? So, that's a very long-winded question.
No.
A long-winded answer to a question.
No, and I think, what you just said, things happen in your life that throw you curveballs. And you're like, now where in the world am I? What in the world am I going to do?
Right. Like,
so would you like to talk about your curveball? Or curveballs.
Yeah, I think we all have lots of them.
Yeah, we do.
I think curveballs. So there are probably, there are 2 fairly significant curveballs.
Yeah.
That I would describe as baseball. It's not the dodgeball that's throwing you and you're like, oh, ow, ha, fun, toss it back. No. So I lost my dad, but so when I was 39, my father, on my birthday, and my father actually committed suicide. And
I can't imagine how painful that must have been.
Yeah, I'll be 48 this year. And that is it was, no one ever I never, ever would have expected it. And, had no idea how to cope with it, but thought I did, I think. And I don't think I realized how much I didn't know what was going on. I mean, if anybody's gone through anything that's like super traumatic and unexpected, there's that shock phase where I think my shock phase went on for a long time. I mean, I don't remember parts of like couple weeks. I mean, they're just like, you just black out, like, because I could not, the human brain can't process it. So the research behind it, it's true. When you're in shock, you just freaking shut down, and enough, like, I mean, so yeah, I mean, I try to recreate that timeline, right? Like, what could have happened? You know, I spend hours, I know probably everyone, and I'm just going to speak about my experience because everybody in our family experienced it very differently, and I'm never going to speak to theirs. But I think, you know, so much came up for me, not only like why, but why that day, and see, many years later, I choose water. I think where I have come to is, you know, the 5 stages of grief. I experienced them all, and I still feel like I experienced them, right? And the thing that I don't want to hold on to is anger for my dad. Like, I don't. And the thing that I want to, and that I focus on, because I think about it every day, is just the things that he taught me, but also like accepting the fact that I really have no idea, like, what must have happened. And like where
his mindset was and why he made that choice.
No clue. And I just hope that he is happier, like wherever he is. Cause I can't carry around that feeling of anger, although I do have it sometimes. I'm a human, and I'm like, why the fuck aren't you here now? Because I really want to talk to you. Or I just really like miss you. And
imagining how much imagining how much pain he must have been in.
Or chaos, or like I don't know, like, and I've spent hours, and I'm sure I will continue to spend hours just trying to figure it out, right? And there were no, like, and if anybody,
there are no answers. There are no answers to these questions.
There are no answers. And, you know, we, in some situations with other people who have been are survivors losing somebody to suicide, there are indicators, or there are messages left, or there are things that were done without other people in the family or in that person's community knowing. None of that was discovered, right? So it's just a long list of unanswered questions that I have had to, and I continue to realize I'm never going to have answers to, right?
It's so, like, how do you accept the unknowing?
And I think I just try to do that on a day-to-day basis. I don't have here's a book I wrote on it. Or I think for me right now, it's just, sometimes it's easier than other times. And when I haven't talked about it for a while, and then I talk about it, like right now, it's like, it's just as if I just got the call, right? And
that's how grief works, Kimberly.
God. Woo.
It never goes away.
No,
because that love doesn't go away. That connection doesn't go away. No. And so you just have to figure out how to redefine your life given the situation.
Yeah. And I'm standing at my desk. I have a stand-up desk, and I have two pictures of my dad on either side, and then my picture of my mom and my sister and myself. And it's like, my parents were also kind of like, they made shit happen. They like made radical decisions in their lives, and they raised us, and they loved us. And as I go through my life and like struggle with whatever, like relationships, running this business, like living in New York City and trying to making a go of all this, I know he's like in tow with me. Like he's there, right? So's my mom, and so's my sister, and like all in different ways. And sometimes, everyone doesn't get along, but like, he taught us a lot of lessons, and he taught me a lot of lessons about perseverance and how to treat people. And so does my mom still. I mean, how my mom shows up for me and the community she lives in. I think that's probably in some dotted line why I love the work that I do around leadership. It's like, it's about people, right? And how you treat people. And my mom and my dad taught me a lot in that area. So
are you able to have you been able to process these questions and support your mom and your sister through this whole experience?
I think
Supporting
we do the
other?
best. Yeah, we do the best we can, right? Everybody experiences grief and this kind of loss in very different ways, and we do the absolute best that we can to show up for each other, and we are there for each other. It's just, it's different for everybody. And we get together, we're there for each other in whatever way we can, regardless of like grief. We're all pretty radically different, right? So then you add the complication and like the emotional aspect of that. So I know we all do the best that we absolutely can to be there for each other. And doesn't mean we don't, we're human. We're all human.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We're all carrying around our stuff, and how do we love and accept each other through our stuff and through their stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
That was one. I had an interview that I released a couple weeks ago, and she defined love as being there for the other person.
Yeah. And sometimes being there for the other person is not saying anything, and that's
giving
something
them
that
space.
I've learned. Yes, that is something that I have learned, because I'm a talker. I'm an emotive talker. I communicate. I'm highly intuitive, and also like highly intuitive about emotions. So like, and I have learned to let the silence ride and know that that's okay, right? As opposed to fill the silence or push for an answer or push for this. And that's part of my work in progress for my own learning and my own relationships with my family, but like with my friends, like just because I want to talk about it, or I have this question and I want an answer, doesn't mean that it's the right time or space, or shut up, Kimberly, be quiet.
Yes, I think
being quiet sometimes it's showing up.
Yeah, I think sometimes you just have to learn to be.
Yeah.
So how did you learn to be?
Yeah.
How did you learn to be? Because I know that your next big hardball happened pretty close in relative close proximity.
Yeah. So let's see, how did I learn to be? I feel like I'm still learning to be.
That's an ongoing journey.
It's ongoing. So I was married and we had we knew each other for a really long time. Then had a separation, and then we got back together after my dad passed away, and were married for 5 years. And what I learned is that I wasn't, it just, you know, you wake up one morning and you're like, we went to 3 couples counselors, like we were doing the work, and I wasn't going to be happy, and neither was he. And just no matter how hard, and this is like, no matter how hard we tried or how little we tried, I wasn't going to be happy. And I didn't want to live a life in which I wasn't happy, or didn't make someone happy, or we weren't appreciating each other in the way that, like, I think real, true love has the ability to. Not saying that we didn't have that moments, because we had those moments, but it just wasn't right. It just wasn't right. And it was not who I wanted to be. And I wasn't able to, we couldn't support each other, right? We couldn't I was not happy. He was not happy. It was not going anywhere. And
you felt like you couldn't be the best version of yourself with him, and you couldn't help support him be the best version of himself.
Yeah, exactly. So I think throughout that whole process, it was about just me trying to be me. And I think in the last really 3.5, 4 years, I'm really truly being me. Like after we got divorced, my whole like hashtag, when hashtags weren't that big a deal, but now I feel like they're a really big deal, and I'm always like half-assing the hashtags, but whatever. My hashtag was like, I'm like, am I supposed to hashtag this? Like what? My hashtag was Phoenix Rising, because it was, I was focused on what truly at that point in my life was going to bring me joy, would allow me to feel joyful, and what was turning me on, like work-wise, life-wise, love-wise, sex-wise, like health-wise, like what was going on. And that was me being. Sometimes it was like, okay, well, I thought it like that. I don't like that, right? So, and honestly, running is part of how I slow down. And a lot of people are like, oh my God.
That's a paradox.
I know.
That's a paradox. I'm running to slow down.
Totally. Exactly. Because I am a fast runner. Just FYI. Yeah, I'm running to slow down. That is a paradox. That's fascinating. So
this is the paradox of life.
It is the paradox of life. I'm running to slow down. Wow. Yeah, because I find it meditative. A lot of my friends
I'm doing so many things to learn how to just be.
Yeah. So, yeah, and I think, I don't know, did that answer the question? I don't know what we're talking. I can't remember.
What were we talking about? I struggled with this as well in my marriage, and this was one of the reasons why I got divorced too, because I felt like I was definitely not being the best version of myself in relationship with him. I was not bringing out the best in him or helping him bring out the best in himself. And I felt like I couldn't fully express my truth. I couldn't be who I wanted to be. Like all of the things that made me me, like my connections, my dance, my work, all of those things, I felt like he was resenting me for, and, like not supporting me in the things that brought me joy and the things that made me feel alive and the things that brought me peace. Because when you were saying feeling alive, I also thought the paradox of peace, fully at peace.
Yeah.
I'm fully alive and I'm fully at peace because I'm being my authentic self. And it's this sense of freedom, full freedom of expression and full connection with myself. I think before that we have and create these good relationships with another, we have to create that relationship with ourselves.
Yeah. I hear that. Yeah. And I think also, I mean, if you had interviewed me at 42, 40, 35, I never would, I never also would have said I would be a marathoner. I never would have said I'm going to run a business. I would never have said a whole bunch of things.
I never would have said I was going to be a podcaster.
Right? So it's like, it's that evolution, whether or not like a relationship has the flexibility for both to evolve, and also sometimes like maybe the greatest gift Andrew and I gave to each other was like we really gave it our all, and then we gave each other a different moment and a different path for life. Like but yeah, there's a lot of things 10 years ago I would say never would be on my, this is what's going to happen, right? Like, I actually don't think I have anything that no, pretty much. No.
I mean, I feel
which is
like
kind of cool too. It's like, but also like for many people it might be unsettling, but for me, I think, wow, in 10 years, what the hell is going to be? What am I going to be doing? Where am I going to be living?
It could be really exciting. I feel like
exciting.
I feel like so many people say, "Oh, I don't like change," but we're constantly evolving. Like that is the word that I use all the time. Every day you're a new evolution of yourself. And so how do you learn to be with whatever evolution you are in that particular day, in that particular moment, in that particular time in your life?
Right. Yeah, I agree.
So it's that loving and accepting yourself wherever you are. You know, where even if you're in the ashes falling to the ground. Right? How do you love and support yourself through your grief, through your pain, through your heartache, through your ambiguity of I don't know what in the hell is next for me.
Right, exactly.
And I can't see through this experience to know what it's going to be like to get to the other side.
Yeah. And sometimes you don't even see that you're in all of that, right? And so for me,
because you're in a fog.
Yeah, I was like, what? Like, I mean, I have an amazing support network of primarily girlfriends, some guys, but I have an amazing network of support here. And, that they keep me honest. They also like love me. They think, challenge me. And if I go into hibernation mode, it's like, okay, what's going on? Right? You're like, I mean, it's winter in New York. So either you're like running on cement or you're hibernating or you're binge watching like old shows, which I do frequently. And I'm okay with that. That's being,
exactly.
Come back out of my shell. But yeah, it's, through all of it, I'm happy. I'm a happy person. I'm like truly happy with my friends, my work, my running. Despite all of that is probably influenced by this whole journey, right? And maybe I'll fall in love again. I don't know. I'm open to it.
Is that something you want?
Oh, I'm totally open to it. Yeah. I like being in a relationship. I like I like it. And now a relationship is like, I have different terms, right? Like different things I really want. And that I can also give, I think, in a much better way. Just different. I'm different. But yeah, I'm totally open to it. 4 years ago, I was like, no. I was like, protecting me.
Yeah.
The only, I mean, I'm not on any dating apps now, but the only one I was on when I first, like, after a year and a half and my girlfriend and I was like, you got to just, like, at least put a freaking picture up on a profile. And I was like, but it was Bumble.
I don't want to swipe anyway.
Yeah, I don't want to swipe. She's like, well then, and so I found fumble, which was like, I was in control. Right. So like in all those phases. And now yeah, I mean, I like being in relationships. I think they can be really fun. Until then, I'm just happy and I'm loving my friends, my family, and just doing my thing. So
what qualities do you think are important to you, if for the next one? What qualities of the person and what qualities in the relationship do you want to have that are different than what you had before?
if it's different, I would just say I don't want to really compare. What I want is a radically honest like honesty is like number one. Communication is critical for me. I want somebody who likes to have fun and be adventuresome.
And loves your glitter eyeshadow.
Yes. And, it'd be great to have somebody who likes to be outdoorsy. I'm definitely happiest when I'm outdoors. And I don't know, honesty, funny.
Yeah.
And smart, and honest, and has their own life. You want somebody with like a full intact life, goals, things that really charge them up, that maybe I can be part of, but I can support them in, and we co-create some little cool space in the middle where we meet.
Yeah.
And I want somebody who doesn't say, running? Ugh. I want them to be like, running, that's amazing. And I'll never join you, but I'll be there at the finish line. Like that's,
exactly.
Or like if the next thing I want to do is like hike Kilimanjaro. Wow. Whoa. I'll see you, I don't know, when you get home. Right. Like,
I'll be waiting at the bottom, honey.
Yeah. That general, like, that's so out of my desire zone, but I'm going to love you for doing it and go for it. Right. And I want to be able to do that for that person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's so important. I've said before, like people, that whole adage, you complete me. Like, no, I complete myself. I am a whole person on my own. I create my own happiness. I choose the things that bring me joy. I choose the things that make me feel alive and at peace. And when you do those things too, and we come together, it's not 1 + 1 = 2. It's like 1 + 1 = infinity. It's like infinite possibilities of expansion and co-creation when two wholes are coming in.
Yeah, totally. And let's also be honest. I want them to be like
hot
fun and sexy. Yeah, like I'm not dead. I'm like a real alive woman in her 40s. Because it is an important piece, right? For me, it's important.
Well, that's the thing that, I belong to this Esther Perel Facebook group. And she talks about love and desire. They have to, be part of the relationship because this is what happens. You feel love and you go look for desire externally, or you feel desire and you don't feel any sense of safety and trust and security. It's like, you want the both.
Yeah, totally.
So, I want somebody hot too.
Yeah, and I want somebody who's like, you are sexy as
You're
hell.
A goddess. I'm so lucky to be with you.
Yes. During this, probably in the last, 2014, 15, there's an incredible woman in the city. Her name is Mama Gina, and I did her Mastery of Womanly Arts experience. And we talk about desire, we talk about brags, but I want to be desired and I want to be desirous, but like that also means I have to take care of this temple, right? Like I have to feel amazing, whatever shape this takes as life changes. I have to be like, this is like, woo, right? But I want somebody, I want desire and sex and fun and love and
everything. It's like you want it all. I want to experience it all. And if I can have that with someone who wants the same, they want to desire me. They want to love me and make me feel safe. They want to have these amazing, fun, exciting adventures with me. It's like, I want a partner that completely supports who I am being in whatever moment I show up. Yeah. So it all starts by working on yourself, right?
Yeah. And I have I also think it's getting clear on what I want, right? Like, now I'm actually thinking about it. 2 years ago, I wasn't thinking about it. I was like, nah, it's fine. It's actually fine.
Yeah.
I wasn't missing it. I wasn't,
right.
But now I'm like, okay, I'm warming up to like, that'd be kind of cool. We'll see. Right.
You've been going through this huge transformation. You know? And so while you're doing that, it's like,
there's only so much capacity. Yeah. I don't have that much capacity.
Yeah. I only have the energy right now to be focusing on myself.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Which that is not selfish, by the way. It's not selfish. I mean, it's so funny because I think people say, oh, you're being selfish. Say the people who want you to do what they want you to do.
Oh yeah. Right.
So this is part of, my message is self-care is not selfish.
Yes.
Self-care is finding the fullest expression of myself. What makes me happy? What brings me joy? What makes me feel alive? What I'm passionate about? How am I using my gifts and talents to show up in the world and share and, be the fullest expression of myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it seems like you have had an amazing journey. Yeah,
it is pretty amazing. And I'm still on it. And it's only going to get bigger and different and more unexpected. That's what I think.
I think that makes it exciting.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
It's like, okay, so when did you buy your NASA vest?
Well, this is a holiday Christmas present. We celebrate Christmas in our family. And I saw it this summer. I think it was this summer with my mom. And when we were in Vermont at Jacques Penney. That's J.C. Penney.
Oh.
It's very old school people. I know. This is like one of the only items that was not bought online that needed to be returned. And my family bought it for me because they knew that I like shiny things. And they also know that I always run with glitter. So I always run, like if I'm just a practice run but marathons, I always run with glitter. And my eldest niece said, I was like, oh, it's gold. She's like, no, Aunt Kim. My family calls me Kim. It's rose gold. I was like, oh, just like my earring. Perfect.
Just like my glitter.
Yeah, glitter. Yeah, it's I love it. Like anything glittery or hot pink. When I run, I also buy the fake tattoos that are gold and silver. So I had, like, for the marathon, I'm always plastered with them everywhere. It's my little superpower.
I was just going to say, how does that make you feel?
Oh, it feels awesome. Yeah. And I've always loved fake tattoos. And actually one of Mama Gina reminded us during one of our sessions, she had like jewels, those jewels that you can like adhese to your body. And she's like, decorate your body with these jewels, so I am all about just embellishment, yeah. And just, so what, I'm running a marathon, I'm gonna be sweaty and look weird and my face is gonna be like contorted in 99% of the pictures, but I'm gonna have really amazing gold fake tattoos on my and my glitter, so it kind of outweighs it all, but I'll feel like a superwoman, so whatever.
I think you are. I think you are a superwoman, Kimberly.
Thank you. This is my feel like it.
No, I love your sense of joy and it's like, I always say, I think as we grow older, we need to keep this childlike, sparkly nature, like everything is magic.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we can keep that sense of magic in our own lives,
Mm-hmm.
then we can fully step into our power.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's this, it's not either or.
No, it's not.
I don't have to choose. I choose it all.
Yeah.
I choose what makes me feel the most me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's a beautiful gift you give yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that when you show up as that example, you also give other people permission to do that for themselves.
Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree with that. Yeah.
So I think the people that you work with are incredibly lucky and
Thank you.
blessed and inspired to be more of who they already are by watching you as the example.
Thank you, Dawn. It's really, really nice. That's really thoughtful, and thank you.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
this is the first time we're talking, but I totally see it.
Thank you. Thank you. And you have the ability to create a really meaningful and celebratory conversation, which is a really beautiful balance in how you approach this conversation with me. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So the question that I like to, the last question that I ask is, how do you define real love?
Oh, woo.
Yeah.
That was not on the Google sheet.
I know. I know. Surprise.
I'm getting a bit of my own medicine here. Oh shit. True. What's the question again? I'm stopping.
Because the podcast is called Wake Up to Real Love. So my question is, how do you define real love?
Rub my rose quartz. How do I define true love?
Real love.
Real love. How do I?
Because true love, I think, is for fairy tales.
Real love. Yeah.
Real love.
I would describe it as what I'm thinking is how I feel, right? Like there is when I am in true love, right?
Real love.
Oh my God, sorry. Real love.
That's okay.
Real love. When I'm in real love, there is an absolute heart engage, something is physically happening with me. I am jazzed up. I'm physically charged and alive, and real love to me is the space of honest, fun creation.
Yeah.
It's honest, fun, loving creation. And appreciation.
Yeah. I want that co-creation.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah. So how do people get in touch with you, Kimberly? I know you do a lot of work, and you want to explain a little bit about how people could work with you.
Yeah, sure. This real love question just spun me out. Wow. Okay.
You can journal about that later.
I'm I get back. What? I gotta get into my intellectual brain. Okay. So people can get in touch with me. My name is Kimberly Penharlow. I'm on LinkedIn. I also have my website. I will be launching my business Instagram as well, which will be Kimberly Penharlow Consulting. My email's krpenharlow@gmail. Some of the really fun things I love to do is I love the coaching piece, right? So working with women across your career, if you're facing any sort of leadership challenge, or if you're leading a team for the first time, love to talk to you. I also love, it's usually, what I found is it's usually a compliment once I start working with someone, whether it's a female or a male leader. The natural progression is, hey, maybe I should get my team together. Maybe I should get the department together. Maybe I should get the organization together. So if you are planning any of those larger retreats and you want some help with that, I would love to bring my genius and my kind of magic dust to that.
Like team building.
Yeah. Or you're doing an all staff retreat for 3 days. You haven't done one in a year. You have no idea what the content should be. Let me talk to your staff. Let me present you what the findings are. Let me help you co-create the agenda. Let me coach you through how you want to show up as a leader. What are the things you want to say? How do you want to say them? And let me be there to support you through that. And, then I do trainings on different content area, whether it's emotional intelligence, how do you talk about your brand? How do you handle change? So yeah, those are the things.
Good.
So, yeah.
Good. So.
Oh, and if you want to talk running, you can also call me or email me. Or follow me I am on Instagram at KRP Brooklyn. That's more or less my running one, but yeah. That's
it. Okay. So I really just wanted to say that I honor you for being so vulnerable with me today. I know that I took you to a hard place. And I just wanted to say thank you for sharing, because, this was the thing that, when you were talking to Michael, I thought, you have such a powerful story. I know my son, one of my sons, he had a friend commit suicide 2 years ago, and it was really an awful experience.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people, experience these kinds of tragedies in their life. And so so I appreciate you showing up and sharing honestly and vulnerably, to help other people know that they can get through it, and know that, it's an ongoing process. It never really goes away. And that it's okay to sit in your not knowing,
right.
But that you can, despite dealing with your grief, that you can figure out how to live this amazing, incredible, joyful, risk-taking, adventurous, powerful life that you have created for yourself. So thank you for being such an amazing example.
Thank you, Dawn.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Pleasure.
So for all of you listeners, I'm sure you will get so much wisdom and insights from our conversation. And so please subscribe to the Wake Up to Real Love podcast and share with your friends. And for the work that I do, if anybody wants to get in touch with me, I help people overcome heartache, heartbreak, and betrayal, and create more real love in their lives. So if people want to contact me, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at The Awakening with Dawn. And my website is coming soon. That's one of the ways that I'm learning how to step into my power. I've been scared to death for the last year, but it's slowly coming together. So
you got it, Dawn.
Yeah. So, and the thing, that every single person that I interview, even if they don't say it directly, they reflect it. This is what I say at the end of every podcast: the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. So start with you. Create your own sense of happiness and joy and peace and aliveness and safety and security, so that you show up in your fullest expression, and that you can create, more open and honest and vulnerable relationships with those around you. So thank you everyone for listening. And thank you so much, Kimberly, for being with me. It was really an honor and a privilege and so much fun talking to you.
It's really fun to be here. Thank you, Dawn.
Yeah. All right. So listeners, every day, wake up to more real love. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye.